The Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
At that very time, there were some present who told him about the Galileans, whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. Jesus asked them, "Do you think that because these Galileans suffered in this way, they were worse sinners than all other Galileans? No, I tell you. But unless you repent, you will all perish as they did. Or those 18 who were killed when the Tower of Siloam fell on them. Do you think that they were worse offenders than all the others living in Jerusalem? No, I tell you. But unless you repent, you will all perish just as they did." Then he told this parable. A man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came looking for fruit on it and found none. So he said to the gardener, "See here, for 3 years I have come looking for fruit on this fig tree, and still I find none. Cut it down. Why should it be wasting the soil?" The gardener replied, "Sir, let it alone for 1 more year until I dig around it and put manure on it. If it bears fruit next year, well and good. But if not, you can cut it down." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Good morning. Thank you, Pastor Ellen, for the opportunity to share this with the congregation. And thank you, everyone, for your support, for your prayers, for your financial support for this project. I remember when I started talking with Pastor Ellen about this, we did not know how to start. It is a big project. It cost about $100,000, more than $100,000. And Pastor Ellen was she just believed with me. And she started doing the noisy offering every month for the whole year of 2017. That was before even we knew how it's going to be done and who is going to help us. So I started sending out proposals at different places. And within few months, Engineers Without Borders, Yale chapter, adapted the project, and they started raising funds, and Faith Lutheran still is a big part of it. So thank you all so much. So today I just want to give you an update since implementation trip last summer. For those who maybe are new to this, so the picture there shows the pond during construction last summer. And these are just children who are just sitting around, kind of observing what's going on. And you can see it's a big place. It's a huge, huge pond. And so that was happening this summer. So just a background, again, it's pastoral communities. This community is in Arusha, northern Tanzania. And they do have a lot of livestock. And they only have one borehole in the village that covers only part of the village, and that's the only safe water that they have. So a lot of people don't have access to that borehole, and because of their livestock, for them, livestock is their number one priority. So all that water is going to the livestock. It's the livestock first, then humans. So it's just part of their culture, and livestock is just kind of like their identity. So it's very important for them to, so they suffer a lot with access to safe water. Also, again, 2017, around March, Yale chapter, EWB's Engineers Without Borders is an organization that works with communities in areas where they, civil engineering, projects like water, could be construction, schools, and things like that. So Yale was interested in the project and took it over with collaboration with Tanzania Partnership Program at Michigan State University. So that's the assessment trip. Right after Yale adapted it, we went to Tanzania for assessment trip. So what they did was just to meet the community, to see the need, to talk to them, to walk around and see what's needed and things like that. So that's the team that went last year. In the middle are students from Yale chapter. This is Dave Sacco. He's their mentor and an engineer. And this is their faculty advisor. And then this is Mary Marekela. She's a Tanzania Partnership Program manager from Tanzania side. There's a MSU side as well. And this guy up here is an engineer from Tanzania. He's a local consultant from there who helped with all the logistics to connect them with a contractor who can do the work and all that stuff. So when they went there last 2017, they did some surveys in addition to meeting the community. They looked at different, they did some soil sampling and did some surveys. Just look around and see what can be done, what's needed. And then, so just to give you an overview of how the village look like. So this is the topo map of the village. Most of the, this doesn't work. So you see there like a little small circle and a big circle. So, and then there's like a brown area on this side. Yeah, right here. So this is where a lot of houses are and the farms are. And then this pond here, this, if you measure, this is about maybe 5 or 6 miles. And so right now, before the pond, people used to walk all the way here with a bucket on their head, especially women and children, to collect water, which was really not clean. And there are like 4 or 5 different villages that are collecting water from this pond. So they requested this is the pond that they requested to be rehabilitated because it's close to the community. They don't have to walk very far. And the borehole that I was talking about is somewhere here, which is pretty far, and I don't show the elevations here, but the village is like in a higher elevation, so they have to walk down to the borehole if they have to. So that's just a closer look of the pond. That needs to be rehabilitated. This pond stopped working. They constructed it in 1982, I think, and it stopped working more than 15 years ago. And so what happened, I don't know if you can see the animation, but that's where the pond is. It's like a U shape, so it's a rain-fed. It collects water from the runoff upstream. So water will flow into the pond. So what happened about 15 years ago, because the berms were weak, so when water was coming in, it would, and then there was some erosion also going on, so water will flow out to the pond, or if it will flow in, it will cut into, there's a bridge there where it will keep cutting every year, so they were trying to fix the bridge, and then it will keep cutting every year, and then they stopped, they just gave up. So water will either flow out the pond or go through the bridge. So the first thing that they wanted to do this year, after Yale came back and then they started fundraising, so they wanted to fix that bridge. And then they also wanted to build a cattle trough where cows will come in and drink outside instead of walking in and break the pond. And also they wanted to build a spillway, because if the pond gets too full and then it overflows, that's the beginning of damaging the pond. So because it's such a big project, they broke it into 2 phases. So the first phase was completed this summer, and they wanted to do the 3 things: fix the bridge, put a cattle trough, and also construct a spillway, and do some of the excavation. Excavation is the most expensive part, but they also wanted to do at least some of it so that it can hold water for the rainy season this year, last year. We have 2 rainy seasons. We have short rain from October to December, and then we have long rain from March through May. So they completed the first phase around end of September, and then so the pond was able to hold water for the last rainy season, although it wasn't completed, but they wanted to make sure at least it can hold water for that season. So just to give you a closer look of what they did, so they did some excavation. So this is that last summer. So after this assessment trip, they came back, started fundraising, and then went back and they did some excavation. So this is just the beginning of where they started excavating. And then the second thing, they constructed a spillway. So that's a picture showing some concrete pouring and things like that. And then another thing, they did a bridge repair, as I showed you on that animation. So this is the area where, the first picture here is the area where it was weak. Every time water is flowing in, it will keep breaking. And the reason was because that side of the pond, the soil was it wasn't kind of like a clay sandy that can be compacted well, so it was weak. It wasn't strong enough to hold water. So they cut that portion and removed all the bad soil, and then they brought in good soil, and then they compacted it. So the picture on the right, you will see they are compacting it in small layers until they reach the top of the berm. So that place was fixed, and then they also constructed a cattle trough. So this is where cows will come in and drink out of it instead of going into the pond. And another big advantage of this is now cows will not have to go to the borehole. They'll be coming here, and more people will have access to the borehole, because now for them cows are more important. So it's like, hey, let's wait until our 500 cows are full. They drink all the water. Then you can come in with one bucket and collect water. So this is a big relief for people, especially women, because they're the ones who have to wait until or walk somewhere else to get water if they can't get to the borehole. And there are a lot of politics with the borehole, and the men are the ones who are running the borehole, so it's a little bit complicated. But so that's the cattle trough, and then the picture on the right it shows the pipe that is taking water from the pond and the valve that is allowing water to come into the cattle trough. So this is just a picture showing when the pond was full. So this is the dry one. When it was dry, no excavation, nothing was going on, and it was like this for more than 15 years. And now at least it was able to fill up, and they were using it since May. I think it was April. Since the first rainstorm, they started using it, and now it's full of water. And although it's not complete, but they can still use it. So that's what their goal was. They wanted to make it so that at least it can be usable before they complete the project. They complete 100%. So there's a primary school in that village, in Naitolia village, and primary school is like elementary school. And so this picture here is, this is the teacher, Boniface. His name is Boniface, and the children wanted to see and learn what's going on, how they do the excavations and things like that. So he brought, I think it was like 2 or 3 classes. He walked from the school, he walked with them to the pond, just to see what's going on. And I think the very first picture you saw that there was some of the kids who were there. So they're happy to see what's going on. I think they didn't get a chance to do that during the assessment trip. Oops. Sorry about that. So that's another collaboration that happened, which I was very happy. So these are new students who went for implementation. Last year it was a different group. It's the same chapter, but they take turns. Some will go for assessment, some will go for implementation. So these are new students who went for implementation last summer. This guy here, the second from the left, his name is Kakwi. He's actually from the village. He lives in that village, and he's one of the very few students who studied engineering. And I didn't know about that until I was there last summer, and one of the teachers told me about him. So I called him and connected with Yale, and they got to work together this summer. So that was very exciting. And then the second girl right next to Kakwi, her name is Helen. She's from University of Dar es Salaam. She's also studying engineering, And Yale was interested in working with some local students from the university, so I connected them with her. So they got to work together this summer as well. And then the very last one, his name is Erasto. He's from Tanzania Partnership Program, MSU. So it was a good mix there where, everybody got together and they work on this. So I really like that picture. So just a very brief budget there for this phase. So like I said, the project cost it's more than $100,000. So for this assessment trip, which is phase 1, the total cost was about $64,000. And Faith Lutheran Church contributed about 20%, actually it's a little over 20%, which is a lot of money. So again, I'm very, very grateful for the congregation and for Pastor Ellen for your leadership. It was through the noisy offering that we did every month, 2017, and some generous donation from some of the members. So that's what the total cost is. And another thing too is the community was supposed to contribute 5% of the total cost. So that's their contribution right there. And in addition to that, they did some in-kind. They brought some rocks and sand and water during construction. They helped with construction. There was a good collaboration. Sometimes there was some miscommunication. They didn't know when to get there or when to bring things like that. But all in all, they were very excited, and they were there 100% to contribute. And they agreed on that 5% even before the project started. So, and we do have, I have the full report from Yale, the post-trip report. So if any of you is interested in, I can send it to you. You can read details and learn more about it, and you can send me an email if you have any questions. Or if you would like to ask Yale chapter directly, I'll be happy to give you the information as well. And also, if you would like to maybe contribute to them directly, either way, you can just reach out to me. I'll be happy to give you their contact information. So that's this is one of the meetings. They always do these meetings before they start project and after. And people are always excited about this because water is very important. We all know that. And that's just a picture of how attentive they were to hear about what's going on and what has been done. And they always ask a lot of questions just to learn. And So way forward, so they do have to complete the second phase, which is next summer. And what they're going to do, so right now they're continuing with fundraising so that they can complete the project 100%. They have to still add another cattle trough. The community requested for a cattle trough for goats as well. They have one for cows, so they wanted, another one for goats, and so they'll do that. They'll finish with excavation, which costs a little more money, and they will have to fix the gullies upstream because of erosion. So those are the things that are to be done. And also we wanted to, Pastor Ellen and I were talking about having Yale chapter come here and do this, and they were very interested in coming, but the times were just not working out. But they are still planning on coming, so we'll try to make sure they maybe come before they go for this summer so that you can hear from them. I think it's always interesting to hear their perspective and what they did, because they're the ones actually are on the ground. So again, thank you so much for your contribution, for your support, for your prayers. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer your questions. Other than the water stuff, Tanzania is a beautiful country. If you happen to be there, stop by at the village and see what they're doing. The villages are very friendly. They'll be happy to they will welcome you. And so that's it. Thank you very much.